Alright, we're back with FF7, starting mid-scene. Scarlet saying, it's all materia. The Shinra have just made it to the northern crater. And so Scarlet is here, Rufus is here, we might have seen Hojo as well. You know, all the important Shinra players are going to show up here. And we saw them in the aircraft coming over. The outside is rich with Mako energy. The inside is a treasure trove of materia. This truly is the Promised Land. Right, and so we've seen Sephiroth thinks this is the Promised Land because this is where a wound was created in the planet. Genova came 2,000 years ago and crashed here, and the wound drew a ton of energy to this spot to try to recover the planet, right? Drew that life spirit force energy that we've talked about. And so Sephiroth is using this spot because it is full of energy and power. And the Shinra are coming here, and they're excited about this spot because it is also full of energy and power. And this is a somewhat different conception, of course, than the ancients have of the Promised Land, which was more in the direction of a place to find peace and settle. And, you know, yeah, I think find peace is the right way of put it. But they are not like the ancients and have very different goals for it. There is no such thing as the Promised Land. It's a legend, an old wives' tale. It's utterly ridiculous, says Professor Hojo. Everything's as I imagined it to be. Isn't it splendid? It is that kind of dullness that makes you a second-rate scientist. Man, Hojo has a huge inferiority complex to Gast. What's happening? It's coming from within the wall. Something's in there. It's moving. That's an eye. Weapon. Then it really does exist. I didn't believe in it. What does this mean? Weapon. Monsters created by the planet. It appears when the planet is in danger, reducing everything to nothingness. I think in the gas tapes we found in the Icy Town, that probably has a name, but I'm completely blanking. There was something about in reaction to Genova, the calamity from the sky that hit the planet created weapon. That's what was stated in Professor Gast's report. Yeah, see, Hojo watched the same reports we did. I never saw that report. Where is it? Right, we know it wasn't kept in Shinra headquarters. Here. Right here. You keep a lot of things to yourself. Hojo does keep a lot of things to himself. That's going to be an important trait. Alright, big cutscene time, I think. Nope, not quite yet. Are Cloud and the others alright? What's up with that? One little piece of materia destroying the planet. Oh shit, where'd your friends go? What the hell was that? Huh? At least he still knows where the land was. Hey guys. Where are we? Where did we end up? Barret, you're here. I'm so glad. Tifa. Something's weird here. Got pitch black all of a sudden, and everyone disappeared. Everyone's waiting. Cloud's in trouble. Please come, help us. Over there. Yeah. I don't know what's going on, but let's just get on with it. He. And remember, that doesn't sound like Tifa. The black materia. Being able to shapeshift and change how things appear to people and feel and sound is very powerful ability that I think pretty much after this point will not be used at all and probably should have been used more in the story. This was probably I mean I obviously love FF7. I think it is. It hasn't always been because Basically because nostalgia is a powerful factor and it wasn't the first one I played. But FF7 is pretty firmly my favorite FF. Um, there are three FFs that might give some challenge at different points in my life, but I think once nostalgia faded on FF8, which was my first FF, um, it's pretty firmly been my favorite since. But I think this might be a flaw, right? It might be this is a power that's so important to this point, right? We have this we're following Sephiroth for a huge part of the chunk of the game until here, and it turns out we're not following Sephiroth, we're following Genova. And then we get Genova Sephiroth clearly using that power while here. But if I remember right, we never get it after. And there's whole spaces of the game where maybe it could have been an interesting effect to include. Like, you probably don't want the game to become nothing is as you see it, but maybe it's a tool that they left kind of less used than it could have been. Mr. President, got a bad feeling about this place. Yeah, you think you have this huge like ice glacier and there's a giant eye blinking at you in it that your scientist says will destroy everything, will disintegrate everything. Maybe we should go back to our ship now. Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. We need to prepare for the inspection anyway. We sort of built a funny triangle, right? We got a backline of three with Tifa, Scarlet, and Anaki, then Hojo and Rufus, and then Cloud. You have the 3 points of a triangle as our party, and the 3 midpoints between each is their party. Hey, where did you come from? Don't know. Last we saw of Cloud, this was last episode, he had started to think his backstory didn't make sense and he was shrugging off everything Sephiroth was saying. Then he realized he didn't remember joining Soldier. His version of his backstory didn't hold up, right? Sephiroth was giving a version, and that didn't make sense because he had memories before Sephiroth's version starts. Sephiroth says he was constructed 5 years ago. Sephiroth then added, you were constructed with some combination of Tifa's memories helping to create you. Not clear why that would make any sense, but that leaves it with, okay, as long as he has memories that aren't connected to Tifa of his past, he should be able to dismiss that. But he couldn't remember things. He couldn't remember joining Soldier. He couldn't remember the part of his life that wasn't around where Tifa was. He didn't have it. And that's when he started to stop shrugging at what Sephiroth was saying and saying, I'm not listening anyway, to clutching his head. And then at the very end of that, he seemed to have come to some conclusion for himself, but we didn't see it. So that's where we are with Cloud saying, don't know. This place is going to get rough. Better leave things to me. Get out of here while you still can. Leave things to you? I don't know what you mean. This is where the reunion is happening, where everything begins and ends. Tifa, you broke the triangle. Cloud. Hey, we're here to help you. Barret should be confused that Tifa's here. Cloud is not looking great. Oh, Cloud's doing the clutching himself thing. This is very similar to when he was raising the sword towards Eris, right? Movements where every time he tries to move, there's clearly some fighting with himself. Thanks, Barret. Where's the black materia? Cloud, it's safe. I have it. I'll take it from here. Give me the black materia. It doesn't seem like we should give it to him, to be honest. You can't hear my voice? You alright? Okay then, here. Had a lot of pressure holding this thing. Now, obviously Barret should not give Cloud the black materia. For what it's worth, I would be kind of freaked out and trying to get rid of it too, so I can understand Barret not thinking so clearly as well here. No, don't. Please, stop, Cloud. Now, this does have the kind of thing of whoever's in the cutscene, or this active scene, everyone else is sort of frozen. Obviously, Tifa should run up and try to do something. And unlike the previous time when Cloud had the black materia, when he clearly wasn't behaving normal, Tifa was pretty far away from him then. He or she or Nanaki should probably try to do something. Thanks. Leave the rest to me. Come on, the black materia. Please wait just a little longer. Two voices. Everyone, thanks for everything. And I'm sorry. 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 Especially you, Tifa. I'm really sorry. You've been so good to me. I don't know what to say. I never lived up to being Cloud. Tifa, maybe one day you'll meet the real Cloud. Ha ha, this is perfect. It means that my experiment was a complete success. What number were you? Huh? Where is your tattoo? Professor Hojo. I don't have a number. You didn't give me one because you said I was a failed experiment. What the? You mean only a failure made it here? Professor, please give me a number. Please, Professor. So the answer Cloud found is he's created, he's another of the clones, he's here for the reunion, he's here for Sephiroth, right? This is not the conclusion you'd like to hope he'd come to. But in the end, he did believe Sephiroth's story, and he did find purpose in it. Shut up, miserable failure. Oh, thanks, Hojo. Always so nice. Who was that? He's a Sephiroth clone I created after the real Sephiroth died 5 years ago. Genova cells and Mako, with my knowledge and skills, have been combined with science and nature to bring him to life. There's a bunch of things I want to say, but I think they're spoilery, so can't do that. I'm not wild about the failure part, but the Genova reunion theory has now been proven. You see, even if Genova's body is dismembered, it will eventually become one again. That's what is meant by Genova's reunion. And Hojo was putting Genova cells in all kinds of things. If you remember, we saw. Actually, I think this is not spoilers, we've just seen it. We saw 2 containment chambers in Shinra Mansion. And they said that one of them had more Mako energy, I think, but one was reacting a lot more to the Genova cells. And if we remember, there was sort of a written an escape idea. They were sort of scratching into the corners of their glass of the kind of containment chambers they were in. That feels very relevant right now, especially that one of them was reacting much more to the Genova cells. Because Cloud has been hearing voices from the start, and Cloud has had, throughout the story, a need to follow Sephiroth, which was Genova the whole time, right? And some of the other experiments seem to have been kind of pure Genova cells, less of a person, more of just a piece of Genova, and they knew what they were going to. And also, it seems that Sephiroth was probably, or Sephiroth Genova, whatever combination, was able to use those bodies and potentially become them, right? Pieces of Genova that we fought along the way. And Sephiroth going, when we reach the crater here, going, this body isn't needed anymore because he's been using lots of bodies and they're no longer needed because the black materia came, and it came not with one of the other pieces, but with Cloud. Yeah, I think that's enough to say here. I have been waiting for the reunion to start. 5 years have passed, and now the clones have begun to return. So 5 years ago also lines up with, it's right after Nibelheim. Nibelheim is also 5 years ago. Hojo was experimenting with Mako cells, right? Because we know from the monsters and Sephiroth saying, even with this, you will not equal Professor Gast. When we went to the reactor in Nibelheim and saw the monsters there, Hojo had been experimenting with infusing with Mako, but in the aftermath of Nibelheim, Hojo begins experimenting with infusing parts of Genova, cells from Genova, and bringing about the reunion. I thought the clones would begin to gather at Midgar, where Genova is stored. But my predictions were not entirely correct. Genova itself began to move away from the Shinra building. But being a genius that I am, I soon figured it out. You see, it was all Sephiroth's doing. Sephiroth is not just content to diffuse his will into the life stream, he wants to manipulate the clones himself. Yes, that was how it got started. So there is some debate. I think most people don't have this debate. Most people treat this game, especially because we followed him the whole way, as Sephiroth is the important controlling factor of Sephiroth Genova. I think, given that we're actually following Genova and Genova's actions the whole way, there starts to be a case that it's Genova. But here, now, how far can you trust Professor Hojo? Very unclear. But Professor Hojo is clearly suggesting Sephiroth is the important will here. And now we're hearing a voice that is the kind of Sephiroth Genova in Cloud confirming that. And I think it's fair to assume, and I think the majority of players are correct, that Sephiroth is the more important will here, rather than Genova. But we'll keep an eye on that. I wondered where the clones were going, but I was never able to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out either. Maybe that's Cloud's voice. Seems like Cloud's voice there. I'm not sure. The one thing that I did know is that Sephiroth was at their final destination. I wasn't pursuing Sephiroth. I was being summoned by Sephiroth. Yeah, definitely Cloud's voice. All the anger and hatred I bore him made it impossible for me to ever forgive him. That and what he gave me. Sephiroth? Sephiroth, I'm here, and I brought you the black materia. Show yourself to me. Where are you? Thought you guys were going to run off on your airship, but I guess hearing Hojo talk was important. Sephiroth. So we finally meet again. And here, for the first time in the game, we will actually see, not in a flashback sequence, Sephiroth. I believe. Encased in kind of crystal Mako, right? He went to where the energy was and had no reason to leave. Did you see it? It's Sephiroth. So he is here. Hojo, very excited about Sephiroth. This is perfect. Both Genova's reunion and Sephiroth's will. They won't be diffused into the life stream, but gathered here. Mwahaha. What are you so happy about, Professor? You know what this means, don't you? Cloud has the black materia. Sephiroth is going to summon Meteor. Every single person is going to die. Whatever I say now is too little, too late. We must evacuate. I want you all to come with me. There is still much more I want to hear. Rufus redemption arc? Yo, Cloud, stop, knock it off. Yeah, if we could stop Cloud, that might help. As long as he hasn't handed over the black materia yet. That is his constant gesture of when he's torn, and there's something in his head asking him one way and pulling him another. Cloud. Like when we saw him almost kill Eris, when we saw him hand over the black materia the first time, and here he hands it over the second time, and now Sephiroth actually has it. Not great. Not great. And that's weapon. And now we get another switch of kind of in-game graphics into, I think, cutscene. Yeah, definitely cutscene. All right, airship. Gotta get away from that energy. Well done, well done. All right, that's weapon. That's a different weapon. Two weapons. Doesn't look great. That a third weapon? That's a big one too. Uh, one, two, three, four, and there's a fifth one that already came out. Five weapons. Very clearly, five weapons. A lot to deal with. So now we have all the Shinra villains. We have five weapons running about, threatening to destroy everything. We have Sephiroth, Genova, and they're summoning Meteor potentially. Things are bad. And what's happened to Cloud? One of many good questions. Looks so small. Cloud. Cloud. I think this is kind of neat as a parallel of when. I'm going to pause here. Earlier, we saw Kate Sith dies, and it is this overwrought, dramatic scene of him saying, "Remember me. I'll always be, Kate Sith number one. I feel so full and grateful to have this moment of doing something worthwhile." And then Kate Sith dies, and we hand over the black materia, and Kate Sith reappears, right? It's this way over dramatized thing with no importance at all. And then shortly thereafter, we get Eris dies, and it doesn't have the same kind of buildup, right? It's not Eris telling us these touching things as she walks to her death. Instead, the last time we talk to her is cheerful, is her saying, "I'm going off, I'm going to stop Sephiroth. All will be well. You don't have to worry." And then we get there, and Cloud loses control, but eventually regains it enough to not kill her. And then Genova kills her as Sephiroth, but Genova as Sephiroth kills her. And she is killed, and it is very sudden, right? The game player does not believe this is going to happen, right? It's one of the like huge dramatic moments in gaming. And I think there's this really interesting parallel there, and I've talked about that. But here we have a second parallel. Because when Eris leaves the party, Cloud passes out, right? Cloud has handed over the black materia and collapsed for days. And he wakes up in Gongaga, and everyone's worried about him, and he doesn't think he can continue on because he can't control what he does. But in his dreams, there he sees Eris, and it's this sort of she's in this forest we've never seen before with this light in the distance, and she floats down from above and she peeks out from the trees and she kind of appears and disappears in this weird forest. And she's gone, and in the end, she's gone forever. And so we had these parallels of how Kate Sith dies versus how Eris dies. And again, here we have a parallel to how Eris left and now where Cloud is, right? Have a viewpoint character. There it was Cloud. Here it is Tifa. And we see first Eris, now Cloud, in the distance, and we're calling out to them. And what are we getting back? And Tifa, much like Cloud was, you see Cloud trying to run after her in those scenes. You see Cloud trying to run after Eris in those scenes. Tifa is now trying to run after Cloud. And last time it led to Eris going off and doing entirely her own thing and getting killed. And I think it will be interesting to see, what Tifa can do in an attempt to follow Cloud. I think that's what I want to say here. I didn't know what to do. I was always like that. And we have seen Tifa. Clearly, she knew something about Cloud, and she has not known what to do. What's the matter? Oh, doesn't seem in good shape. Poor kid. Ugh. Are you alright? Ugh. Uh, Tifa? Tifa? And you can see him doing his stand up and pose, do the wave of the hair, the thing he does when he's being a cool soldier type, right? He's in his broken down phase. We've seen him broken down now quite a bit, and he's going from that into, pushing the hair, slicking the hair back, posing, which has got to be really weird to see if you're Tifa. Oh, Cloud. That's right, I'm Cloud. No, this is not him doing the pulling the sword back to kill her like he did with Eris. This is him posing with the sword, right? This is him. Yes, that's right. I'm Cloud. Is it really you, Cloud? I never thought I'd find you here. Classic brush back the hair. Yeah, it's been a while. Cloud's in I'm cool mode, right? Cloud was broken, but he saw something, and then he felt who he could be, right? He had this image he could jump into. What happened to you? You don't look well. Yeah, it's nothing. I'm okay. But you can see him hopping between kind of messed up and posing. And yeah, I'm trying to find another word than posing, but I think it's a very good word for this. There's just another word somewhere out there that also is a good descriptor here. How long has it been? Oh, that question is messing with him. 5 years. All right, found an answer. He's back into I'm cool mode. Big shrug, classic Cloud. What is it? It's really been a long time. Actually, it's been 7 years. You got your wish and joined Soldier, quit after the Sephiroth incident, and now you're a mercenary. You told me a lot about what happened after you left Nibelheim, but something's wrong. I felt there was something strange about the things you talked about. All the things you didn't know that you should, and other things you shouldn't know that you did. I wanted to make sure, but then I heard you were going far away, and I didn't want that. I didn't know what to do, so I thought I needed more time. So Cloud appears, and he has, memories he should have that he doesn't, memories he doesn't have that he should. Um, I think I just said the same thing twice in reverse order, but he knows things he shouldn't know, and he doesn't know things he should know. But he also, knows things he should know too, right? It's enough that it seems like it's Cloud, but it's also not enough to be right. It's enough that something's wrong here. And she also says it's 7 years, not 5. And we'll get a little more into that, but that's really important that it's 7 years, not 5. And so she has been hearing him tell stories and seeing him lead the party. And he is a capable party leader. And his stories have a lot of parts that are true, but they have other parts that she knows aren't, or that he shouldn't know, right? And she doesn't know what to do with that. And Tifa has been trying to figure out something to do with that and not finding a way. And that's why I told you about the avalanche job. I wanted to be with you, watch you. White screen. It will come back eventually. Probably. Long white screen. Speed up button. Did it crash? Ah, there we go. All right, cool. I think this is probably a good stopping point because we're changing scenes. Ding. Huh? Yeah, we'll stop here. And yeah, whole bunch happened. We're sort of entering not the no, not the final act of the game. No, there's a whole bunch left. But the part where the game opens up. There are a few points of the world opening up. Obviously, first we get the car, or first we cross a continent, or first we leave Midgar, right? That's the first really big opening of the world. Then we get cross the ocean, then we get a buggy, then we get the tiny Bronco. I would say that's the next really big opening up of the world. And there's going to be another one coming up soon that if we divide the game into kind of how much access to the world do you have, that will, I think, qualify as the final portion of the game. But there is quite a lot of stuff left to do, and yeah, big plot developments and big plot developments to come. I think the core questions left are how do we stop the villains? I think that's obviously a big one. How do we stop weapons? What is Hojo up to? I think that's the villainous character whose plans are least clear. Are we getting a Rufus and Shinra redemption arc? Will they help us against the bigger threat of Sephiroth, Genova, and Meteor? And what is up with Cloud and Tifa's backstory? Everyone else we mostly know. I haven't done the Yuffie side quest. I think we'll do that and get a sense of that at some point. But we know Barret's story. We know Nanaki's story. We'll learn a little more about Vincent as we go, but that's an optional character as well as Yuffie. We know enough of Kate Sith. We'll get a little more, but not too much. And I feel like I'm blanking on someone. Eris backstory, we have a large amount of. We'll probably get a little more there too. But for the most part, I think the rest of the game is can we stop what's going wrong? And what is the Cloud Tifa story? And I think the Cloud Tifa story is great, so I'm really excited for the rest of that.